All right, the next item is the open public session. During the open public session, audience members can speak to the council on any issue not scheduled for public hearing. Each speaker should state his or her name for the record and will be given 3 minutes to address the council. Council staff will track time and inform speakers when they have 30 seconds left to conclude their comments. You can line up at either podium. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jim Peterson. I live in Sudden Valley. I'm here to speak to you about Homes Now, Not Later. I'm formerly homeless and was homeless for 17 years. I'm the co-founder of Homes Now, Not Later. We started in June of 2017. Since then, we built 3 tiny homes on Lummi, which has housed 5 people so far. Since July, we've held monthly homeless summits feeding over 600 people and providing weather-dependent gear such as sleeping bags, tents, coats, and support services. We organized the Sleep Out at City Hall, which lasted for 18 days. In that time, we housed 10 people in permanent housing, got 2 people into detox, got 1 lady to the doctor, and got 1 person glasses. We have also built trust with the homeless community. Our goal is to end homelessness in Whatcom County by 2020. You say pipe dream, we say no way. Our goal, right now, there are 761 homeless people in Whatcom County. We say by 2020, we can house every one of them if we put in the work and stop talking about it and just do it. We don't think about it or have a bunch of meetings to talk about it. We just do it because we already know there's a problem. Homes Now, since June 2017, Homes Now has housed 17 people at no cost to the taxpayers on private donations of $18,000 or $1,058 a person. I'm not here to ask you for money, but I'm here to ask you as County Council for your help and support. What we are asking for is a piece of dirt, a small piece of property, to start a pilot project of 4 tiny homes and a support building. Those tiny homes would have electric and be no bigger than 10 by 10, 100 square feet, and a service building of 12 by 20, which would have a bathroom, kitchen, dining room, and a room for case managers. So what we need from this county council is a piece of land we could lease from you. We also need to have a way forward with building codes and zoning issues. With this project, we could house 4 to 8 people and give them a stable place to live for less
30
than it
seconds,
costs
please.
the county or the city. The homeless that we met during our summits each have a different reason for being there. There's someone's son, daughter, father, mother, uncle. We are not asking for anything but a way to house the homeless. No hidden agendas. We're all volunteers. None of us get paid. I implore you, please give us a way forward and give us some support. Thank you.
Excuse me,
Ms. Brenner.
could you leave some way to get a hold of you?
Yes.
Okay.
Barry knows how to get a hold of us, but I will
Well,
leave
you
a card.
keep forgetting.
I will leave a card with the
Dana.
work.
Yeah, right there. Thank you. I love this. I've been trying to
Next up.
get this teeny houses.
Sorry.
I'm like one myself.
Okay, well then please move forward and let's get.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Doug. I'm technical director of Homes Now, co-founder with Jim. According to the Whatcom County Coalition to End Homelessness in their 2017 report, there's 742 people that are homeless in Whatcom County. And it's gone up every year since 2012 when it was 493 people. And 24% of them are under the age of 18. So we're not just talking about adults here. We're talking about a quarter are minors. The number of homeless students in Washington State has increased by 91% from 2008 to 2016. This is a crisis. It's happening right now. It's getting worse. Wages are flat. Rents are skyrocketing. National leadership to solve this issue is weak. This adds up to the problem we see now. Therefore, we need to act locally to solve this issue. We're ready to go. We've proven we can build tiny homes at an affordable price of $3,800 per unit with full electric on Lummi, because they let us build. We've proven we can help around 50 people who are homeless self-run and self-manage their own homeless camp for weeks with few issues. Obviously, long-term permanent housing is the end game, but in the short term, while the decision-making process is taking its time to play out, even a tent, even a sleeping bag, and a place to take a shit and a shower is better than the wet concrete. These are real people, just like you. This could happen to anybody. This could happen to anyone in your family. And it's a good idea, I think, to get ahead of the problem now, because the next time an economic downturn hits or something stupid happens like that, it's going to be an even harder problem to solve, and it's probably best to get ahead of it before it turns into 1,500 people or 2,000 people. We're stepping up as an independent organization because we feel that we don't think that enough is being done, and we want to see some real results. We want to work with you and to end homelessness in Whatcom County and move into the future. We're adaptable, we move fast, we're able to get results. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, as Paul was saying. So don't be afraid to take a risk and help people get housed. Don't be afraid to get creative. That's what people in the community are craving from their elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you leave your contact?
Yeah.
Is it the same contact?
Yeah, well, it's a different contact number, but I'll leave it on.
Okay.
But it's,
Would you like to come forward? Thank you.
Hi, my name's Paula Smith, and I'm from Blaine, and I've been involved a bit
Can
with
you get
homes-
closer to the microphone, please?
Really?
Yes, yes.
I have been involved a little bit with HomesNOW already, especially to do with the summits at the Maritime Park, where the group provides food for the homeless, and especially at this time of year, the clothing, warmer clothing, and throughout the time, talking to those people and hearing what they're thinking and what their situation is, and also giving things that are little sanitary things, anything that they could use, foods that are contained in a can or something like that. Anything like that we bring and give to whoever can use them. Band-Aids I brought one time. I feel Whatcom County Council is the place for me to speak because I live in Blaine, and I have been coming down to this, what HomesNOW has been doing, and have gone out to see the neat little houses that the Lummi, someone at Lummi was willing to let them put those houses on that property. I don't know if you've all been out to see those, but it's a nice little drive to see them. I think the thing is with me is that I think probably most of you feel the same way, but homelessness is not okay. And I cannot, too many of us don't say right out, come up forward and say, it's not okay with me. I care about it. And I think this goes along with, in our country and in our world, we're kind of into taking and extracting rather than giving and caring. If we gave and cared more, we'd be all way better off, as you know. And I'm thankful that I think the council is looking through the agenda, and I believe that the county already, I see that you evidently are involved in lots of ways in providing money and contributing to helping with the various needs of this sort.
30 seconds, please.
I think the biggest problem is, as Doug was saying, is the piece of ground and the laws and the rules in being able to do it. And I think we all know that we've seen these on TV, these wonderful little setups where there's a few little buildings, and we'd love to see it in our area. So
Time.
I'm for further work on solving the problem than what we've done already. Thank you.
Thank you. Please step forward.
Hey, y'all, thank you for having me. I live in Ferndale. My name's John Jolly, and I just started working with HomesNOW to help work on an organized encampment. It's a complicated issue, homelessness as a whole, and encampments are definitely not a solution. But a lot of these people's been out here long enough that they can't take moving right into a place after they've been hustled around the woods for months, sometimes years. I believe an encampment's necessary to get people stable and prepared to move on even into a transitional system. And it can be done privately funded without any cost to the local government. All we need is permission. We're not asking for a piece of dirt. We could probably find that. But what we need is permission. If we have permission, people will become more willing to work with us outside of the government. Biggest fear is fear itself. Lack of permission creates a fear. And, with permission, we could get police cooperation. People would be safe. People would have somewhere to get 3 or 4 days rest, to get their head clear enough to figure out what they do need to do to move forward. So, I brought a guy home. He's involved in a camp that we're helping. I brought him home to stay the night with me Christmas Eve, and he couldn't even stay inside. He had a panic attack. He went outside with his sleeping bag and slept on my porch Christmas Eve because it's just a barrier. And there's numbers of barriers that people are living in tents with right now. We get those people together, get them safe, get them comfortable with us enough to really communicate with us outside of the 5 or 10 or 20 minutes they get with a counselor downtown somewhere, a few times. And then in a few weeks, their caseworker changes, and nobody knows, and they get hung out to dry. These people need to be comfortable, and these people need to be safe. And then they can start thinking about moving on with their life. Right now,
30 seconds, please.
they don't know what they're going to eat tomorrow. They don't know where they're going to sleep. They don't know if all their stuff is going to get picked up and thrown in the trash. We can fix this a little bit at a time, but it starts with cooperation and permission. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next up. If there's anybody else, by the way, who wishes to speak, please come down in line in front of the podium.
Hi, my name is Simon Grant. I have worked in nonprofit in Whatcom County for about 5 years now. Had the pleasure of volunteering with various organizations that serve underserved communities like the homeless population. And not to beat a dead horse, but just to say that a lot of these organizations are at capacity or over capacity, frequently needing more volunteers, need more funding, needing more support. It's very disheartening to work for these organizations, not only from 9 to 5, but after those hours and see the problem persist and grow. I don't know the solution, but I know that we need to take action on it. As a private citizen, volunteering is all I can do other than be here and speak to you guys. So just wanted to emphasize that I see this problem grow every day and feel very helpless as to what I can do to help it, and I want to see more action from our government and from our community to address it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hillary Cole, and I live in Bellingham. I was occasionally down at the tent city outside of City Hall, and I just want to tell you that the people that are putting together HomesNOW, Not Later, are fantastic, hardworking people, and the community of homeless people was really neat. What was formed there, why we had the opportunity to be there. Okay, so I'm going to make this short and sweet. The homeless crisis in Whatcom County is an emergency. These are the issues that need to be addressed. 1, declare a state of emergency and allow camping with its needed essentials, water, toilets, dumpsters, and fire pits. 2, provide porta potties, dumpsters around the city and in places people tend to tent to cut down on the $100,000 per year cleanup costs. Finish up talks with safe storage and provide storage to the homeless so they can keep their belongings safe while they look for work, go to appointments, shop, and sleep. 4, resume the laundry voucher program so those without homes can get their belongings clean and they won't have to dispose of them so frequently. Provide a path forward for HomesNOW so they can build a tiny homes pilot project. These are 4 10-by-4 bedrooms individually built with a service building that has bathrooms for all units, as well as community kitchen and meeting room for outreach workers. These can be identified as a single-family residence as only the main building will have plumbing. The winter weather makes this an even more pressing issue. Homeless people are part of our community and they matter. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next up. Thank you. Next up.
My name's David Morris. I still see people that are homeless. These people here are here to help. We need to work together in a open source type way where everybody works together. They need a place to be. You don't like to have businesses with people falling asleep.
Talk closer to the
Oh,
microphone.
sorry. And I'm losing my voice. I'm scared to be up here. But these people really help. And I would be willing to help out with them. I don't know if you've seen all that took place over here, but lives were changed. People got back with their families. People got jobs. People done things. When there's a community that helps and supports them and works together, things change. Yeah, if we don't do anything about it and make it a crime, you're just making a reason to have a bigger jail. And that's something you don't want. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but this changed my life here. I was a participant at this event, and being there gave me the chance to have a shower and the time to have a place to put my stuff so I could go do things in life. And now I have a chance to do better things because of it. I don't know, guys. I'm talking in circles because I get really nervous up here, and I had all these things to say. But work with HomesNOW. They're great people, please.
Thank you.
So first off, you did very well, and I understood everything you said. Thank you. Next up.
Good evening. My name is Josh Bowman. I grew up here in Bellingham. I am homeless right now. A couple weeks ago, I volunteered to be with HomesNOW to help them solve this problem. I've noticed in Bellingham most of my life, there are these vacant places that are abandoned, which will be good to actually put HomesNOW. I've been kicked out of probably about 20 other places growing up here since I was a teenager, being homeless. It does work. If they have 6 camps in Seattle and other cities, states are actually following that routine. I've seen a lot of that online so far, and I'm proud that that's actually going on. I think Bellingham is probably the worst, and being homeless keeps sky rising. The homeless community is my family. No defense on my actual family. They've done a good job, as well as the homeless committee who brought me in where I had nowhere to go. We just had a funeral tonight of one of my sisters that passed away on the hotel, Mac Hotel, Tina. I think instead of living in these hotels are getting shut down and stuff like that, would be a good idea to actually open up for emergency for men, women, and children instead of tearing down a building and rebuilding it. You guys are just costing more money to yourselves than you are to the state. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brenner?
Have you spoken to the Bellingham City Council? You have?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
This is
Fill
the
it
first
back there,
time.
so because when a lot of you are talking about Bellingham, we have no authority about what we can and can't do with the land in Bellingham. But, yeah, I agree with you a lot. And I just have to put this on the record. I don't know if they've changed it or not. I worked hard on this accessory dwelling unit ordinance to allow little houses in places. And the City of Bellingham, I went to their meeting, they adopted it except in single-family residential areas, which is most of the areas in Bellingham. So I know what you're talking about, and I'm hoping that you're affecting me. I'm on the county council. We got areas.
I honestly wasn't going to speak tonight, just.
I'm glad you did.
But I'm actually glad that I am, because I'm probably the only person in here that's actually homeless.
No, I guess
A
not.
couple other people. And they stand by me. I have, 18 underage kids at Northwest Youth Service standing by me, wanting to go clean up these camps where we can actually be at. But all it is going to cost money. And most of these camps, yeah, there are bad things on the ground. If you get it like a bobcat, rent it for a day, you can pick it up all and just rake it into the bucket. I know some of these camps, I'm actually trying to bring people into HomesNOW where we can actually clean something up just to show the city we're responsible. It's going to be drug-free, no alcohol. We're asking for dumpsters, toilets, just to sit here and support us, and of course, the council. So we can, hopefully, this year, we can actually start something sooner and resolve a problem instead of having a problem keep going. I've been around, I've probably had about 30 people come up to me that are homeless, living in their cars, living in tents. They don't know what to do because the city is sweeping all their stuff.
Do you have any further questions for the speaker?
Well, just that we've got some of the administration here right now. I'm interested, but it would have to be outside the city for anything we do. But I'm glad you came and spoke.
Thank you.
Sorry, just 3 minutes each, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Glasser, welcome to the new council. So the issue is homelessness, not a city issue. You're absolutely right, Barbara. We've been spending a lot of time asking the city council to help us, and they've given us nothing. They've told us the city council attorney has said, oh, that's even better. The city council attorney said that no, only churches can sponsor tent cities, and that has to be on their property, when we understand the law is saying that if they sanction another property, they can control it and take care of it. But our city attorney in Bellingham says no. There's no options for tents within the city limits. That leaves you, and you to make that decision. We have had a tiny little tent camp that got developed after we got evicted off of City Hall that ended up in 4 different places, and 2 of them were in the county on a spot of land in the corner where it's part of Lower Squalicum Park, so it's part city, part county, part everything. Well, the city was giving us a waiver until the new year to be able to not have to get evicted so people could be stable for 2 weeks. But no, the county showed up and the county sheriff showed up and there wasn't anybody from the county to say, no, don't sweep those people. So they got swept just because they were there, not because they were doing anything wrong, but just because they existed in a tent and people saw them as they were walking by the path. It is now your responsibility. The city won't do it, and we can't take the back and forth with it's the city's job, it's the county job, it's the city's job. It is your job to take care of the people who will die this winter. That woman, Tina, died in a motel because she was fighting to get an apartment, and she didn't get it because she has mental illness, and she didn't get it because she has so many problems, she wasn't stable enough. That's what tiny homes will do. It'll put people into places that they can't manage in group settings. They will not make it in community facilities that the only committee you developed after I fought for a year trying to get on the council was a committee between the county and the city. And what are you all talking about? A 200-bed shelter. You're going to spend your energy and money putting people in a temporary facility with this housing Barbara, ask the people who are on this committee. That is the focus of that committee, is the shelter. It isn't about the immediate need of people dying in the woods. No place for these tents to go. No place for these people to have dignity with a bathroom. You could do that outside of Walmart. That's outside city lines. There are amazingly a million places you could find to provide a tent camp for John Jolly, to provide a tent program for
30 seconds, please.
Ooh, I'm doing a lot in that. 4 homes and a service building. We don't need your money to build it, but we do need hookups. We do need the land. We need your cooperation. And no, South Paul, it is not about churches. Churches' job is not to take care of the people. It is your job. It is your job to take care of the people who can't take care of themselves. The churches aren't doing it. If they were doing it, we wouldn't be here. We're doing this because they're not stepping up. If they don't, it's you. That's all we have is you.
Time.
We can't do it without you.
Amy.
I just want to say for the record, she misrepresented what I said completely, and I don't appreciate it. Doesn't help your issue when you misrepresent what I said.
What did I say?
You know, you
No,
got to say
you just confronted me. What did I say that was
Sorry,
wrong?
sorry,
I was
sorry.
You
agreeing
said
with
all we do is,
Oh, that was a we, not
We're
you
not,
personally.
we're not going to go.
well, it felt personal.
You
Actually-
attack someone in the audience and you don't allow anything
No.
back? Don't attack me then.
Okay.
Then don't attack other people.
I'm telling you what you're doing and what I'm asking for. It's
No,
only
you're
3
not
minutes.
telling me what I'm doing.
I get my 3 minutes, Barbara.
Okay.
You
just like
did get it.
everyone else.
You did get it.
So don't yell at me for it.
I had a question.
Mr. Bird.
Amy,
Yes, sir.
you got an extra second?
Yes.
Great. I had 2 questions, actually. Maybe you could help me answer. One is several people that came up before you mentioned a service building. Would that be a movable service building?
All the buildings would be movable so that it could be on temporary place for as long as we get the building. So if it's a place you want to expand a road, we'll take the area for a year or until you start expanding it. Everything will be on wheels.
Okay. And my other question was, one of the people person that came up, they said that land was the big problem, right? You needed a spot, but they also kind of insinuated that there might be other regulations that were preventing it. Do you know what those might be?
The building codes, when it comes to how big a bathroom can be,
Okay.
how far a toilet can be from the shower, how many units can be on a property that unrelated, if it is a single-family property. So building codes and land use are the biggest issues.
So is that directly related to the service building then? Kind of.
Generally so, because the others are just, they can be, I believe, under 200 square feet or sheds, and as long as they don't have plumbing, they can be backyard sheds and they don't have a problem. It's the plumbing building that creates the issue with housing and land use.
Okay, and
That's
last
my
question,
understanding.
was there a piece of property that your organization had in mind that you think would work?
At this moment, no, and that's why we want a declaration of emergency, because we haven't been able to come up with anything. However, that doesn't mean there isn't anything available. Mr. Buchanan has been working with us, and we're trying to be able to find something, either private or public. But if we can't find private, then we're at your mercy. And I don't mean to get upset, it's just we have spent a year trying to do this, and it's been very frustrating because someone just died.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, please.
Were you speaking to me?
Yes, it's your turn.
Irene Morgan. I live in the county. It's very refreshing. It's very saddening, but it's very refreshing to hear all of this testimony to this evening. As you know, I poked around the community for 30 years or more, and in 2008 and 2009, a group of us, the Bellingham's Friends of the Homeless, tried to do something very similar. I quit going out for the point-in-time count when the criteria was changed. I believe I heard something about 700 and some people or 900 and some people now being homeless. The last time I was involved in the point-in-time count was about 5 years ago, and it was 1,300 then. Right. They have changed the criteria to follow the federal regulations. They no longer count people who are couch surfing.
Who are what?
Couch surfing, who live in somebody's home only temporarily, and they sleep on their couch or they sleep on the floor. These people are still homeless, so why are we not counting them? This really upsets me, and we make laws, so the criteria for the building that you just asked about can be changed. So let's see how we can change things so that we can go forward and help these folks. There are so many sad stories about people that have lost their lives who are homeless. I'm an emotional person, and it affects me every time I hear about it. And it's not okay. And I know we can do better than this. And these are the least of us. And if we don't take care of them, who's going to take care of us when it's us? This is just not okay. And I know we can do this. It's very, very simple. You are not the ones I presented it to, but Kelly Linville, our mayor of Bellingham, has a whole plan that the University of Washington and their students did about 5 years ago. I distributed it, and it's doable. There are places all over this town. There are vacant buildings all over this town in this county where we should be housing people that don't have houses and homes. These folks mostly are mentally ill. Many of them have jobs. How do you get up and go to work when you haven't had a good night's sleep in a nice warm home with a bathroom to take a shower?
30 seconds,
and
please.
Clean your clothes in a washer and dryer. How do you do that? I wouldn't even have a clue as how to start. I'm sure none of you would either. So let's see how we can do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up.
My name is Joy Gilfillan. I'm president of the Restorative Community Coalition, and I was pleased last week the Incarceration Prevention Reduction Task Force did a really intense session and came out with some really good things that they will be working on in the next 18 months to help us with the incarceration issue. I want to tie incarceration, homelessness, addiction, and trauma together. When you study deeply into the issues that we're dealing with, economics is the bottom line, and the economic addiction to abuse, poverty, and generational trauma is all interconnected. We have one of the rarest opportunities that I've seen in a long time in Whatcom County for the first time in history that we could conceivably pull together the tribes, the county, the cities, the issues that we're dealing with incarceration and homelessness. There are many of the people that run from being homeless to being incarcerated, to being back on the streets, to dealing with trauma, to dealing with adverse childhood experiences that feed the entire cycle. And we are right now in a huge economic crisis. What if Whatcom County could come together and hold a summit, a restorative economic summit, and actually look at how do we deal with the real world problems? We're looking at third world problems in America today. Whatcom County could be the leading county to create change. We have solutions. Our coalition has been working on them for a while, and what we want to talk about is how to do trauma interception work. How do we actually do recovery work in camps, in homeless facilities? We do also have people from our coalition who would be willing to help build some of these tiny homes. We could do camps. We could do workforce development. What we need is will. And the willingness to sit back and say, you know what, all the political haranguing isn't serving us. Let's sit down at the table and say, how do we solve it? We could duplicate and create a model that we could duplicate across the nation, and we could create change that is really crucially necessary right now. I personally am not looking forward to having children and grandchildren growing up in a third world country where we're dealing with LA problems, where we're dealing with mass incarceration
30 seconds,
and
please.
immigration issues. We can fix it. We have the capacity, and I trust that we could do it here. And I would give everything I've got to be able to help make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up.
Mark Pearson. I live in Bellingham. The only person I know up there is Red. I hadn't, it's the first time to be in these chambers. It's not a good comment for me, living here since 1980. But I just want to share one idea with you. when I listen to these really difficult and complex problems that you're faced with, that we're all faced with, but you're kind of in the hot seat. I had the privilege of being the executive for 5 years over Robert Wood Johnson Foundation's Pursuing Perfection grant, which was meant to redesign American healthcare. Went on in this county. And a lot of interesting things happened, but by far the most interesting thing was that because Mary Minetti insisted, we had patients on all the design teams, which scared the hell out of every single one of us professionals. We couldn't imagine that they wouldn't blame us for what a wreck the system was, but that never actually happened. And their solutions were infinitely more affordable and infinitely more practical than anything me or my friends came up with. And during those years, an expression came, I don't know whether it came from this county or one of the other participants, but and it was nothing about me without me. And it's quick, it's easy to remember, but I got to tell you, it's the single most powerful idea that came out of those years. You can't believe it, you know, if you're an expert, and God knows I'm an expert. You just can't believe that normal people have much better ideas to solve their own problems than we do. So if you do, and I hope you do, take on these problems that have been addressed with passion and intelligence here, you always involve the client, or whatever you want to call them, the patient at Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. They say the person previously known of as patient, because they won't call people patients there anymore, because it is in fact dismissive. They're just people, and they're people that have a huge part of the solution in their hands. So just, that's the only thing I'm offering, is when you do take these things on, just the last thing, just go, why don't we just put some whomever, poor people, homeless people, in the group? And it's not a random process. You don't just grab them off the street. The people in the group who know what the group has to do has to pick them. Otherwise, it turns to chaos, okay? And feel free to call me. I'd be happy to
30 seconds,
give you
please.
free advice.
Yes.
Okay, you gotta leave your number with Dana.
Anybody else wish to speak in open public session? Seeing none, we'll close the open public session and move on to, sorry, sure, Mr. Bird.
I have one comment. I just want to say I very much appreciated the amount of passion that everyone had coming up here. I know that this is an incredibly important topic, and it's something that I think that we can work on, and I'd like to find a way to do that. But thank you for bringing that passion. It can be a little fiery, but you know, that's what happens when we have passion about topics, and that doesn't hurt anyone. On a second note, after I was elected, but before I took office, I was given the courtesy to actually sit up here and participate in conversation, even though I couldn't vote. And I'd like to ask that Tim be given that same courtesy and be invited up to take a seat and participate in any conversation for the remainder of this meeting. Even if he doesn't have that opportunity just yet to vote, I think that it would be beneficial for him to have that opportunity.
So you're making that as a motion?
Yes.
All right, is there a second to that?
I second that.
What was the motion, sorry?
The motion is to allow Mr. Ballou to sit as an observer at the council seat tonight.
Sure.
So we have a motion and a second.
I don't, smile.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Mr. Ballou,
Yes.
please take your seat. Next item up is request to authorise, sorry, before I do this, is there any staff report on the next item? No, okay. Next item up is to request authorisation for the county executive to enter into a contract amendment between Whatcom County and the Opportunity Council to fund one full-time professional in the Opportunity Council's homeless outreach team, adding opiate substance use disorder, O/SUD, services to contact and act as a care coordinator for individuals who are ready to engage in treatment and to provide support services to people with opiate and substance use disorders who require a lengthier engagement process in the amount of $112,227 for a total amended contract amount of $163,227. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
Ms. Brenner moves approval. Mr. Donovan seconds. Any discussion?
Just,
Ms. Brenner.
I'm taking, I don't know if I'm supposed to ask Tyler, maybe Tyler, if you could come down here or something, because I just this sounds great. We should have more providers that offer this whole opportunity under, oh, okay, you could go down, under one person. And when you hire that person, would it be possible to have that person come and talk to us about what they plan to do in the next year?
Certainly.
I love
Good evening,
this
Perry
idea.
Mallory. I'm a Human Services Supervisor with the Whatcom County Health Department. That individual has actually been hired.
Oh, okay.
And pretty thrilled with the individual experience and et cetera, and so would be more than happy to, provide some information and just sort
Wow.
of some experience.
I'd love a presentation.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's amazing. One
Any
person.
further discussion? Mr. Blue, feel free to ask questions if you wish.
Oh, no, I just want to, clarify just for the record, I did not get the chance to fully go through the materials for the meeting, but both this item and as well as the contract before, just presented by Mr. Reynolds, I don't know if he's still here, definitely two of the, in past experiences, two of the most challenging issues for a government to tackle these services of homelessness, as well as getting children reunited with their families, and just very grateful for the staff who takes these issues on.
Thank you.
I'm excited about this one.
Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Oops.
That passes 6-0. Next item up is to request authorisation for the county executive to enter into a contract between Whatcom County and Compass Health to fund a community outreach and recovery support cause team to provide support to the individuals who experience mental illness that dramatically limits their ability to acquire and/or retain stable housing and access basic resources for daily living in the amount of $41,585. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
Ms. Brenner moves approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Buchanan seconds. Any discussion?
Just sounds wonderful.
All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 6-0. Next item up is request for authorisation for the county executive to enter into an interlocal agreement between Whatcom County and Island County to provide funding for the Island County Health Department to support their participation in planning and implementing regional youth marijuana prevention strategies and activities in the amount of $18,330. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Sadoo moves approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Dolan second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Bird.
Yeah, I'm just curious, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this, so why are we funding a program for Island County out of Whatcom County dollars?
I asked that earlier.
All right.
Perry Mallory. A great question. This is actually the last of 6 interlocal agreements. We were found with the local health jurisdictions in the North Sound County to be the individual, to be the lead for this contract with Department of Health. And so we now basically are developing a process with the other counties, and the funds at this point is really for the planning process of each of the 4 other counties within the contract. So we're actually receiving, we've received funds from Department of Health through the I-502 taxation on marijuana. And then I'm using it to respond to plan and respond to any abuse in terms of substances, marijuana specifically with youth and other susceptible individuals to that. So this just happens to be the last one of a total of 6 that we did.
So 100% of the funds that we're passing or giving, we have received from that 502 tax?
It's accurate.
Thank you.
Okay.
And it's regional. It was set up as a region.
Just because it's not Whatcom tax dollars that would have been coming to Whatcom County being sent to Island County.
That's correct.
We're the administrator for that.
That's accurate.
Further discussion?
Oops. Well, I was just going to say, we get more money for us to spend on good programs that way by being.
Funny on paper.
Yeah, yes.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
That passes 6-0. Next item up is approval of special standing council meeting dates for 2018.
Second.
Mr. Buchanan moves approval, Mr. Byrd seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
That passes 6-0.
Can we get a little bit of an update on what's going on with the city and the county committee that was formed? Barry, you're on it. I don't know who else is on it.
Mr. Brown?
About homeless housing. I haven't heard anything. You said you've had a couple of meetings. What's going on?
So the city has, in the discussion that came forward in public comment was correct. The city has prioritized, when they asked us to form this committee, prioritized finding a site that we would be able to do a 200-bed shelter. So they have proposed a number of sites. We're going through the criteria and ranking those sites, and we have not come to any conclusions. And that Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock over in the this one's upstairs in 514. We will be ranking those sites and doing a pro and con discussion of all of them.
Well, can you open it up to a more full discussion like what they were talking about, tiny houses? Has anybody?
I'm trying to do that.
What's the holdup?
The City of Bellingham really wants to get through this ranking of these sites that they have proposed.
Well, but
and that should be done soon, very, very soon.
Okay, and I'm fine with site. Site, that's land. But what if we could do the tiny houses there instead of
That's another thing we need to talk about. And
Okay.
that's why I'm saying, trying to steer that conversation to a broader context on homelessness other than just focusing on shelters.
Okay.
We need more than one silver bullet to solve this problem.
Mr. Donovan.
I don't know, it's
think
new
tiny
business
houses
or,
would be way
but I think, I was trying to say this, well, on the side earlier. We could have, some of this in terms of what the scope of the county might be able to do, either at a committee meeting of Public Works and Health, or Criminal Justice and Public Safety, but one of those, talking to PDS about some, what are the code issues? What are there, if any,
Yes.
Yes.
options about zoning, leasing land?
I'd like it in Public Works and Health.
And I think that's something. we
Who's
can-
on it with me? Oh, the new guy is.
And
And Barry. Oh, this will be good.
I bet Tim's gonna have a name. Tyler, you're the old guy, you've been here a week.
I'm the new guy now.
Yeah, which new guy are you talking about?
I know. Oh, well,
Yeah, you got about 90 minutes of seniority.
I know. That's right. Okay, yeah, I'd like to have it in
Did you?
Public Works.
Okay, it's my turn. I just want to say that congratulations to Mr. Blue. And the second part is yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, and the City of Bellingham organized that celebrations at Mount Baker Theater. And it was quite large attendance, and Cultion Choir was there to do some choir work. I was invited as one of the speakers, and that was in regards to the Arch of Healing and Reconciliation. I think we need to talk more about it. The project is moving forward, and on April 21st, we plan to install that Arch of Healing and Reconciliation. So it was a well-attended and a successful event.
Mr. Byrd.
I did have a couple of things. One, I attended that and I listened to your speech. You gave an impressive speech and you got a standing ovation, and well-deserved. Congratulations. Ms. Brenner, you also won an award last Friday from the Realtors, which I thought was
Yes.
also very well-deserved. So
I was there too,
congratulations on that
yes.
as well. And then, totally different topic, but Tyler, I'm curious, I got an email today from a gentleman who's having problems with his, with some flooding.
We got a
Was that resolved? Oh,
response.
what, did
Yeah, we got a response from Jack's, from the office.
Okay, so that's taken care of for him?
Better be.
Tyler Schroeder, Deputy Executive. I'm not actually familiar with that specific one. I haven't seen that in my email box.
Oh.
But yes, I do
I
think there
saw
was, I heard that there was a response.
Yeah, they're gonna
from
have
it.
it done by tomorrow.
In the
That's what they said.
future, if council members do get some contacts about some administrative questions with Public Works or Planning and Development Services, if there's a CC on either Jack or myself or one of the department heads, do know that we'll probably follow up and then work with us or one of the department heads, and we'll be able to get an answer to the constituent.
Do you know why there was kind of, it sounded like, well, you said you were.
Again, yeah, I don't know this
It was a big
specific,
delay.
I don't know this specific one. I can look into it.
I'm just curious if there's any kind of follow-up, because he said his case was closed before there was any resolve, and it left his house flooded. And so is there any way that, do we go back and look at that situation and say, how do we make sure this doesn't happen to someone else?
Let's take a look at the specifics after the meeting, and then we can follow up with you.
Yeah,
All right,
they
thanks,
they're
Tyler.
staying in a motel because they can't even live in the house.
I think if it's the same person, I had a long discussion with him as well, and I directed him to make that email and directed him with John Hutchins, because he could respond a lot faster than to come to council and we'll discuss this and everything. I said that we will bring it up. If you don't get a satisfactory answer, call back. Otherwise, that's the process. So I asked him to approach the council as well as John.
And if it's
directly.
impact from being displaced because of
Yeah.
flooding, Whatcom County,
Yeah.
or the entity may not actually work through with that
Yeah.
property owner.
Yeah.
But we would have resources through Red Cross and
Yes.
through others to be able to connect the dots for them to accomplish it. So
Exactly.
we can talk more about the specifics, and I'll make sure a response gets to the constituent.
Thank you.
I just wanted to follow up on what Councilmember Sadoo was talking about with Martin Luther King Day. I accidentally, I was channel surfing late, and I saw this incredible movie, and I'm sure it's around and anybody can find it if you're techie at all, which I'm not. It's called Selma, and oh my God, it was so realistic. I mean, it was amazing. It just brought me right back to when that happened, because I'm the oldie here, and it did bring me back. And at the end, they actually showed real, the real movie of the people marching, and it was beautiful. I mean, I don't think people appreciated Martin Luther King as, even today, I think there are people who misinterpret him. He was about people getting along with each other, working with each other, and not becoming so polarized like everything's become. And if you say one thing that someone doesn't like, you're a bigot or a racist or something. Instead, he was looking for love, and he was amazing. I don't think, they don't make people like that too much, so.
Oh, they do.
What?
They do.
What'd you say?
I said they do make people, they keep coming up, if you look at
Well,
last
it's very
1,000
rare.
years. Yes,
Okay,
very rare,
very rare to have
Yeah.
anybody. And I don't think a lot of people really understood what he actually stood for, and it was just beautiful. So,
I think you can find the film without being a techie.
well, I don't know if I could. I
You
thought
did?
No, but that was by accident. But it was beautiful, yeah.
All right. Any further business or updates or comments from council members? Seeing none, we are adjourned.